What's up, everybody? Figured I should hop back on here and talk about this new bit of information we've gotten regarding this game. Since I'm pretty invested in it emotionally, as you can probably tell from my last video that I did in regards to it. If you want to watch that, I'll put it up there on the little banner in the top right. But hopefully, I pointed the correct way. Essentially, though, this person on Reddit, I mean, it was reported by a bunch of different outlets too, that this person was saying they have new details that they saw for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. They saw an internal, not final trailer at a trade show. So here's the details that they remember. It was most likely in, in the UK, because it's all in pounds. But they said Deluxe Edition will cost £100. You get the game 3 days early, get Battle Pass points plus extra costumes. So right off the bat, we're still, as you know, if you saw the first video, you recall that this was one of the problems I was having, was that this whole thing, just to reiterate, this whole thing feels very much like DC's response to Marvel's Avengers game by Crystal Dynamics, which is now actually gone. I believe it's now delisted from digital stores, and you can't purchase it anymore online. So, um, just the whole battle pass points, extra costumes thing, like we're still stuck on that. It's still worrying me. I don't like it. I don't like that that's the emphasis, but okay, let's keep going. Day one edition is going to be £70, and you get extra costumes. Again, who cares? Game details. Now, this is what I thought was kind of interesting. They're starting to talk about this game in terms of like the cool things that you can do with the world, that I'm not really understanding why this is a big deal, or even why it's a good thing. So, and let me explain. So, they're talking right here about real-time weather, and obviously we don't even know what this looks like, because presumably this was just shown in the trailer and they just said real-time weather, day night cycle. And then obviously, according to this person, they didn't even show an example, which makes sense. It's not the final trailer, but still a little strange. So I don't really know what they mean by real-time weather. I'm assuming it just means, like, what it usually means in games is like randomly weather will pop up, just kind of, naturally per the in-game, per what they've programmed in-game. And then day-night cycle. Here's my problem with these two things. I don't know why these are being touted as like good things to have. And this is not me just like trying to hate just for the sake of hating. Like, I just legitimately don't understand why this is a good thing. A lot of what Rocksteady's past games have done, especially in regards to like Batman, is they've really, I mean, I understand that most of the games, I think all of the games actually pretty much were at night, because that made sense in the scope of like what Batman was doing and how he was operating. Was stuff would be at night. So it's worrying to me that we're now getting this cycle. Um, I really wouldn't mind if it was still being determined by the developers when, what each level was supposed to be, especially if it adds to the story or the mission. I really wouldn't mind them just being the ones to decide what weather we have, or if it's daytime or nighttime. This whole like, you know, open world, dynamic elements, like I it's really just not something that's going to get me excited about it. Metropolis is twice the size of Gotham in Arkham Knight. Now, this one makes sense because of the size of the party. If we keep on reading, they talk more about, and we'll get there, but they talk more about like the 4-player co-op and how the characters are there and you can switch between them, and so that makes sense that the map might have to be bigger because there's more people. But it's still worrying to me a little bit, the size of the map, because the map, it felt substantial in Arkham Knight. And that was why, you needed the Batwing and you needed the Batmobile. And it made traversing fun, but not tedious because it wasn't like too big. There always comes a point with these games where you're kind of getting into just too big that it passes the point of like fun and interesting, and it just becomes, like I said, tedious. Like it just becomes like, why am I having to go all the way to this part? Why is it taking me so long to have to travel to this part? Like it just gets frustrating. So hopefully it doesn't kind of bleed into that. I'm really hoping, but I guess we'll see. And you gotta have an interesting map. Like it has to be dynamic. It has to have cool stuff to look at. Because otherwise, it's just boring, man. It's like, who cares? You could be walking through, a desert. Does that make it more interesting? Not really. All right. So it says Rocksteady are working on 1 year of extra content. New characters and missions were mentioned. Once again, this really is sounding like Marvel's Avengers. I don't get it. Like where that was, you know, the problem that people had with it was just this really barely held together story, by these weird just like missions. And you would go through, and the problem that people were having was that the missions started getting super super repetitive instead of like an actual fleshed out single player story like we were getting with the old Batman games. If we're switching to missions now, I just worry that it's going to be the same deal that we saw, and we're going to just start hitting the point where, and who knows, they could be really exciting missions, they could have a lot of variety, they could have so many that you almost never get the same ones twice. Who knows? We don't know. But I'm just saying right now, it worries me because um people got bored in the Avengers one. They said that the missions got really repetitive, and they all essentially boiled down to just beat up the nameless horde. So I am worried. They state clearly that you can play the game co-op online or play it all solo and switch between 4 different characters. Doesn't know if it's seamless switching. I mean, that all sounds cool. I don't have a problem with it being co-op and stuff. I guess it kind of remains to be seen if games like this really work co-op. I feel like people were pretty split on if it worked for Gotham Knights. But it is cool that it's an option to just play it solo, and then you can switch between the 4 characters. Um, Now, here is one thing that I do like is they made a point that each character has distinct traversal and distinct combat. Now, obviously, this is going to come down to what do they mean by distinct? Like, do they just mean that like it's like Gotham Knights, how they just have a different mode of flying around the map? Then that's sure distinct because I guess this person has a glider and this person has a cape. As long as it actually does feel distinct and feels interesting to and gives you a reason to switch between the characters, that could be cool. For example, Deadshot is gunplay, the others are more melee. The melee ones are going to have to be really different because otherwise, you're going to feel like, okay, well, do I want to play long range, Deadshot, or melee? Pick your character because they all feel the same. And I'm sure they're going to kind of do the thing where, like, you know, Harley feels probably a lot more maneuverable. And then, like, King Shark is probably going to feel like he's going to be a bruiser and just be able to take a bunch of hits. So, I'm sure it will feel different enough. But yeah, I mean, remains to be seen just exactly how much different and how fun they are to play too. But I do like what they're saying there. This is not going to be all negative. And then there were no details on the microtransactions or XP or anything games as a service. This part to me actually gives me like the tiniest bit of hope. Because if they're not talking about it, I think that means that they're aware that people don't like it and they don't want it. Now, of course, it's only a tiny bit of hope because my gut is still saying that it's going to be, it's going to be a part of it. They're just, going to try to not focus on it as much because they don't want people upset. But I like that they're not talking about it. I like that they're not pushing it. Hopefully, maybe somehow it means that it's not gonna make it into the game. I mean, I know that microtransactions will because they're gonna try to sell you the skins, same way as they tried to with Marvel's Avengers. That's what they're gonna think is like their biggest money maker, and I guarantee you, just like with the Marvel game, there's gonna be like 50 costumes for every character. It's gonna be insane, but yeah, as far as the games as a service, I don't know. We'll have to see. Hopefully they're fixing some things. And if not, I know that this wasn't like a ton of information, but I did just want to talk about it a little bit because I've been pretty invested in this game. Since I've seen the trailer, I've been following it because I am like I said, the Rocksteady Batmans were some of my favorite games, and I've been nervous ever since I saw that Sony State of Play. And this was just kind of the first news that we've gotten from this game. It kind of went radio silent for a while, presumably as they were trying to fix things and figure out how they were going to present it to us. Does it make me feel any better about it? Not really. It seems like they're kind of trying to do some smoke and mirror stuff and be like, wow, look at this, guys, and this stuff cool. Forget about the games as a service or microtransactions. Look at this, ooh, real time weather. Okay. Um, so we'll have to see. None of the stuff that they've presented excites me all that much. Aside from, hopefully the characters play well and they play really different. That does make me a little bit hopeful, especially because of the fact that one of the biggest problems I had with at the Sony State of Play was it felt like everybody was using guns. So it really did feel like almost like a looter shooter esque, and I was just like, no, I don't want to do that. So the fact that they're really, really pushing that these are melee focused players now, that part actually does make me really excited. As far as that goes, because yeah, I didn't want everybody just running around throwing stuff or using guns or whatever, because that's just what you're gonna default to, because it's gonna be the easiest. Especially because of how they showed, you were flying around and kind of just jumping from platform to platform, and it just felt too frenetic. It wasn't as grounded as like the past games. So this makes me hopeful that they're trying to focus a little bit more on melee fighting, and it's going to be a little more grounded and a little bit more like the Rocksteady that we know. But anyways, guys, that's it. That's all I got. If there's anything else that pops up about this game, I'll try to keep you posted because I'm just kind of invested in this game. It's one of my favorite series. So if you guys want to keep up with me, it's just at Beats by Kana on every single social media. And then I do have a new single that I dropped, and then I have that Final Fantasy project that I put out as well. If you want to give that a listen, it's going to all be in the description below. And it's also going to be on Spotify. You can just find me, Kana Beats. So I also have been playing through the Kingdom Hearts series. I'm going to have a series overview of that real soon. I've got, I think, 2 games left. Just Kingdom Hearts 3 and then Theater Rhythm. And then the DLC, so Melody of Memory. But other than that, then I'll be done. And I will have my first, I guess, kind of real video of what I want this channel to look like. So yeah, I will have that up as soon as humanly possible. I know that this channel is just gonna kind of be pretty sporadic because of what I want it to be. But that's okay because I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.